All right, welcome back to the Zero to Hero Live, where it's all about helping you chase the next best version of yourself. My name is Mike Fallat. I own the #1 book creation service on the planet, Dream Service Publishing, and I'm here with the one and only Curt Miller. Curt Miller is a journalist and retired business consultant with some of the biggest companies in the world. So today, because he's interviewed people like Judas Priest and wild musicians, as you can see, this is what we're putting together, something that's more exciting than the next book club down the road. He's going to interview me for a book that he's creating about my journey and where we're going with all this. So thanks so much for doing this, Curt.
Hey, great to see you, Mike.
Appreciate it, man. If you can, just step a little closer to the mic.
All right. So, right off the bat.
Yeah, Curt, do a little intro for everybody out there. That's the camera right there, by the way.
Welcome. My name's Curt. Mike is correct. I was a management consultant for a little while, a few years ago. A few years back, I'm older than Mike is here, much. And then I'm really interested in music like Mike. And so I did some music journalism for quite a while. Had the opportunity to meet some of my heroes, talk with folks like Judas Priest.
Amazing. What was that like?
It was pretty interesting. It was when they did the Redeemer of Souls album. Which was pretty fun, and talk with Richie Faulkner for a little bit.
Holy smokes.
Also got a chance to interview Steel Panther twice, or I guess they would say like this. But guys were just fun, very, very interesting people, and I'm a very conservative person, but it was wild. In fact, I got to talk with Zach Wild, which was very, very wonderful guy. As crazy as he looks, he was very down to earth and fun to talk with.
Beautiful. So what did you do for them? You wrote articles about them?
Did some photography, wrote articles for them, and some of it was published in a cycle magazine, a motorcycle magazine, and then I went over to a radio station for a while. I still have some opportunities there, but I've been taking a break from it for a little bit. And this, what you're doing is very interesting, and I'm interested in writing this book.
Beautiful.
So,
as you guys know, we've done about 160 books. Here's some people we've worked with. Marty Human, Brian Nunes. Check this guy out. He has like hundreds of thousands of followers. This is a sexy book, attractive story selling by me. Look at this, philanthro investor, badass dude out of Florida. Woman empowerment right here, the playbook for success, and this dude right here. I went to Ohio to visit this guy. Matt Nickel, if you're out there, incredible story, military vet. As you can tell, we love American military around here. So cheers, my friend.
Right on. So one of the things, Mike and I have known each other for several years, and I remember when he first started this, and the company was Dream Starters when we met. And so I guess I wanted to ask, what year did you fire your boss?
Fired my boss, I would have to say, I made the decision to fire my boss in 2014. Now, hear me out. So if you guys can hear me, if you guys need anything, we're talking with this microphone. I think we're okay. But 2014 is when I made a decision that I am done. I am absolutely done working for anyone else forever. So I was leaving a home remodeling company, and I was going to another company part-time because I was focusing on Doggy Surprise. Do you remember Doggy Surprise at all?
I'm not sure that I do, but okay.
Yeah. Doggy Surprise was like a delivery of toys and treats for your dog.
Okay.
And so I was doing that part-time, and I told my next employer, I said, listen, I need to work on my startup as much as possible. Will you allow me to do that? Just help me with a little bit of income, and I'll do Doggy Surprise. And they said, absolutely. So I left that one company full-time and was going to the next, but I ran into a non-compete clause. So the company that I was working for hated me so much to leave them. I fired them. They didn't fire me. I fired them. And they came after me and that company for a lawsuit. So what happened was I couldn't work for that company. I was on my own. What happened was I had to dig in and start to do my own thing full time. Now my buddies at the time own a swimming pool company. This is the summer. They needed help at their swimming pool company. And so what happened was I needed a little extra income in addition to me working on my startup. And so I said, hey, I'll work with you because they're my grade school buddies for a long time. I'm going to go work at your swimming pool business, build some swimming pools, maybe teach you a little bit about what I know about management and structure of a company, and then I'm going to do my stuff on the side. They said, absolutely. So I did that, went home, was writing books, started to do things all on my own, getting speaking gigs, attention. And by the following year, I was up and running full-time, 2015.
And I think that's when, right around the time we met, because my next question was, who were some of these clients? And if I recall, the swimming pool company was one of those clients. So I wanted to ask, who were some of Dreamstarter's clients, and what did they do, and what did you provide for them? I think you answered some of that already.
Yeah, so what I realized was the book for me, Dreamstarter. I don't even have a copy of it up here. Dreamstarter, my first book, changed my life. And that got me speaking gigs, that got me attention. I was able to say Amazon bestseller on my Instagram, my Facebook. And people started saying, how did you do that? How did you become an Amazon bestseller? So it was really easy for me to do so. So what I did was I started promoting, hey, I can turn people into Amazon bestsellers. I can help people write their first book. Some clients that came to me that changed my life, we spoke to yesterday on the phone, Cedric Penn.
Wait. Now you're getting ahead of me. I'm talking about your original Dreamstarters clients. So there was the
Dreamstarters was all about startup business.
Right. So that was, so you had clients that were, it was the pool company. Were there others, or was that?
Yes. Guy named Kevin. All right. Kevin, he's on Instagram right now, so I'm going to tag him down below.
Okay.
But I reached out to a couple people. Michael, there's a couple people I'm going to tag them, make sure they're okay with it. Michael, there's a guy named Kevin. We reached out and met in Pittsburgh. So I was helping people with Dreamstarters, which was helping people become entrepreneurs.
That was your first book, right?
That was it. It was not just books. You are absolutely correct.
Right.
So I started reaching out and saying, hey, I know what works and what doesn't work. My first book is called Dreamstarters. It's all about simplicity, demand, having vision. I can help you dissect your own business and get you up and running. So Kevin came to me, Michael came to me, a bunch of other individuals came to me. And so I was, charging only like, $100 a month to meet with them once a month and giving them some advice.
Okay.
You go down 6 months from there, you realize you can't help as many people as you want.
Okay.
You can't give them the tools. You can give them direction, but they're in fitness and they're in brand apparel and they're in stuff that's just all over the map. So you can only help them so much. And so I'm thinking to myself, I need to give these people a tool that I know how to use and it's going to work well for them. And that's why we helped them start their first book. Okay.
And so if I'm not mistaken, this is when you started going up to the coffee shop and writing the book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's whenever, my book came out beforehand. The book was my tool that I was able to say, listen, this helped me. Let me help you now.
So the Dreamstarters, the first book, the Business Startup Guide for the Die Hard Entrepreneur, that was sort of a pathway for you to take what you were doing for these people and give it to a lot of people.
That's exactly right. So Once I built that, I knew how to do it. So there's a lot of people teaching stuff they haven't done themselves. Once I was able to write my first book, I knew that I could help someone else do the exact same thing.
Okay.
And so these people who were struggling in business, they struggled. Even after our meetings, they were still struggling because business is about timing. It could take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. The last thing you want to do is pay a consultant 5 years before it catches fire. But I could speed that process up by giving them a tool like a book.
So the typical consultant, keep them on retainer, you didn't want to do that?
I couldn't do it. They didn't even have the money.
Okay.
These are struggling people who are trying to get out of their job to start a business. You didn't have a right vehicle. Like I couldn't say, here's the business. Like network marketing is beautiful because you can give them a vehicle. There's 1,000 people around you can ask for advice. And guess what? All that advice is free. You couldn't do that as a business consultant for the true startups. That's why you see a lot of consultants out there who will not work with individuals until they prove that they make $100,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $1 million a year.
I got you. So, okay, now you have the book and it's in hand. You're sitting there, you got it to Amazon. What gave you the idea for the bestseller strategy? And I know what that bestseller strategy is, and I think it's becoming apparent to others, but what gave you the idea I can make this thing a bestseller?
I saw a guy do it, and I asked him. It was that easy. I met a guy who was able to do so, and I said, listen, how do you do this? And he didn't give me the exact strategy, but he's like, listen, I did it this way, and this is who I reached out to. And let me just tell you, Amazon has changed their algorithm since 3 years ago. So it was a lot easier to do it 3 years ago than it is today.
Okay.
So they're getting really, really smart. But it's still easily done. It's just that it's a little bit harder.
Okay.
But I saw a guy do it, and I was able to kind of mimic what he did.
So it was like sort of like almost like the Dollar Shave Club. Like they came up with a great idea, and other people are trying to do what they did with the YouTube videos, but you kind of saw somebody do it, and your key capital you're to capitalize on. Almost, did you do it better than that guy?
Yeah. So whenever I saw it done, I did it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so valuable. Maybe I could do it even better, or I can cost a lot more than what he did. You see, looking at that one a little bit. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
So I said to myself, this is valuable. I can charge for this. And that was my first way out of the door. Like I could say, you know what, maybe I don't have a book done completely, but whenever it is done, I can turn it into an Amazon bestseller.
Right on.
And now whenever the book was done, whether we wrote it or not, I can turn them into an Amazon bestseller like that.
Okay. So that seemed to me like once that was done, the business model for you switched. You were no longer doing the consulting. You were a publisher. You were helping people do this type of publishing. And then you seem to go from there to the business model went to speaking engagements, seminars. How did Motivation Unleash springboard you into your next venture? You seem to be dissatisfied. You want to do something else now.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. I needed to get speaking gigs consistently. Motivational Unleash, I worked with a couple entrepreneurs in Pittsburgh, and we were able to create something that was this motivational seminar. So did I have my message completely perfect before I wanted to speak? Absolutely not. But by having something to shoot for, some date to look forward to, some people to work with, and have a clear message together, I was able to kind of hone in on my skills and say, this is what I want to preach to people. I'm going to get really good at speaking in front of people. And the pressure's on me. It's my event. I'm part of this. So I better do really well. So it allowed me to look forward to something, but also refine my skills as much as possible because I knew that people were going to judge me. And I am never really satisfied with where I was yesterday. I always want to hit that next level of like, okay, what am I really weak at? My God, I suck at public speaking. I suck at it. Let me get better. How am I going to do that? Well, not many people are going to hire me consistently, but I can put my own events on. And that's what Motivation Unleashed was.
Okay. So at that point, if I'm not mistaken, Dream Starters around 2015 became Dream Starters University with the publishing, with the Motivation Unleashed. Is that, and you kind of abandoned consulting at that point and just went full force into these seminars and writing?
That's exactly right. So Dream Starters University converted from consulting to let's create a tool for these people. It's easy to sell. And this is a key piece to any entrepreneur. If you're trying to offer a lot up front in the very beginning before people know who you are and what you stand for, you're going to fail. So I wasn't just a consultant. I was now a book creator. Become the book creator. Become the best. Become the flashiest. And that was able to cut through all the noise and say, Dream Starters University, that's the book guy, not the consultant. Now, you can eventually get into consulting and all that, but you don't want to start there. You want to start with something that's an easy-to-sell tool. Have the tool, now I can take it one step further and say, now you have the tool, now I can coach you a little bit further with that.
Okay.
It's almost reverse psychology, where you think you want the advice to start a business. Well, you really want the tool to help you grow the business first.
Okay. Speaking of tools, okay, so now that you've got this Dream Starters University, you're doing the publications, you've got an audience. You're not satisfied with that audience. You want an audience.
Yeah.
Okay. You're clearly flashy. So this is the time around the 2016 presidential election. Okay. You were very outspoken about your support for Trump at this point.
Absolutely.
And so you were, from what I remember, you were all over Facebook about this.
Yes.
First of all, did people pay attention to what they were doing? And did it help you get clients when they paid attention?
Oh my God, 2016 was the year that my business started to take form.
Okay.
And the reason why is because any entrepreneur out there, if you're trying to get attention, you need to harness energy. Tell me another time that more people had energy about something other than Donald Trump or hatred of Donald Trump.
So that's the question. I mean, whether they liked you or hated you, it got you noticed.
I used the energy. All right. And I'm going to do it again and again and again. And it's going to get even crazier this upcoming year. Now, I am a huge fan of Donald Trump because I even campaigned for him. I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship. I love outsiders. I love people who I hated politics. I hate politicians. But he was hated by both Republicans and Democrats. So you knew he was onto something right. So I stood behind him. All right. So I campaigned for him and whatnot. Anyway. I started to realize that the more I put out there about my support and what I believed, negative and positive interactions came my way. Now, you don't realize this at first, but your alliances are out there, whether they're waiting in the weeds or they're ready to take your back. And guess what? Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, all this is. All it is a way for energy to be converted into people responding, and YouTube, Instagram, Facebook reward people who get a lot of responses.
So did it concern you, the negative, or you were just glad for whatever you got?
I was a nobody. Nobody knew who I was. I had nothing to lose. Started from zero is sort of like, listen, I got nothing to lose. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks of me. It's either I'm going to make it or I'm going to go back to working for someone. Or the other approach is I'm going to be poor and the government's going to have to take care of me.
Okay.
So it's either I'm going to work for someone or someone else is going to take care of me. And both of those I couldn't live with. So it was hell or high water. I got to make it. Now, I will tell you this. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family hate Donald Trump.
Okay.
Hate him with a passion. So at first, I believe I lost a lot of friendship. There's no doubt. Family members abandoned me. I think that a lot of people disregard me even to this day that I was really good friends with. None of that really bothers me because you really do want to change and morph into a different person as the time goes on. And I mean, if they're real friends, if they're real family members, eventually they'll get over it. However, this idea of let me put out there what I really believe and who I am freed me from being like, stuck in my own ways. I started to think, oh my God, I could just put myself out there and my business can grow. I don't have to hide anymore. I could be more real. And guess what? It's to my advantage because my business exploded with negative and positive. People knew who I was, what I stood for. And they say, this is the guy. Like people always talking about a raving fan. You really do want to create raving fans with your business. I don't want people to come to me and say, yeah, you know what? I think you're my guy. I think you're the go-to guy. What I want is people to come to me and say, this is my guy. You need a book done? He thinks just like you. He believes in the stuff that you believe in. He is your guy. And then, you want this tribe of people who think like you so you can go further and farther.
Right on. So a couple of people that I know that you encountered right at this time. One was Cedric Penn. How did you become aware of Cedric Penn? And what were the circumstances that led him to becoming one of your clients?
Cedric Penn reached out to me on Instagram. So I'm getting really active on Instagram right around 2016.
Okay.
And I believe he came to me early 2016, somewhere in there. He reached out to me and said, hey, man, looks like you're from Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm in Atlanta, but you're in Pittsburgh. Let's try something with one of my books. Can you turn me into an Amazon bestseller? I said, absolutely. So show me the book. Let me do all this. Let me come through for you. I did that, and then we started writing his next book.
Okay.
So it was all Instagram. I built this entire company online, not from events in Pittsburgh, not from me going to houses and talking about books. This is all sitting in my room in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Westview, and communicating this all over Instagram and Facebook and getting clients all over the United States, eventually all over the world.
So you've really capitalized on social media and interacting with people and making connections.
Yeah, it's the it's sort of like the peacemaker, the Colt 45. I call it the equalizer. This gives me a chance to play at the highest level over time. Grant Cardone was really not known until 2012 when he started to get on Instagram, but he's been doing it for 30 years. So you're able to compete against people who've been doing it for 30 years, whether it's getting attention. Now, you're not at that same level yet, but over time, you just get better and better and better. The more you get yourself on video, the more interactions you have on Instagram, the more credibility you have, the longer you're around, the more clean your message can be over time. You get really good at communicating. And
but it's not just flash, though. You've got to work.
Oh, God. Okay, good point. I do all this because you want to stand out. It is becoming easier and easier to start businesses now more than ever, but it's becoming harder to get attention, which means you have to be more refined on who you are and what you stand for. To get attention, you could break the rules a little bit. You could get really, really high on the sex appeal. I've done that. You could get really, really loud. You get really, really obnoxious. Grant Cardone's done that, and it wins for him. I mean, he's able to capitalize on all that. So it's almost like what boundaries do you want to get close to or even cross that is going to give you the best chance of victory? And this is a lot of flash. I mean, we got wrestling belts. We got apparel, red jacket. This is not typical for the average book company out there. And it's all done by purpose. Like, this is not by accident anymore. Everything. You see the red, white, and black. I want energy, white and black, sort of the neutral feel to it.
There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of work behind this. I mean, when people see like, Instagram posts and stuff like that, and it's flash, but there's a lot of thought and a lot of time behind this.
100%. And anybody out there who's just trying to shoot from the hip, you are going to shoot from the hip for the most part, but there is a consistent strategy from the greatest. There is a reason why Grant Cardone changed in the past 2 years to talk about real estate more than sales, because he knew 30 years ago that his sales, everything he was doing, was a dead end eventually. Real estate's where he wants to go and play in. So why do you convert your message into real estate? Why do you start to change your plane a little bit? Why do you start to do things? Everything is sort of like bringing your vision to life. And I talk about Grant Cardone. I look at Patrick Bet-David as some of my heroes. Look at everything they're doing. I look at people like Vince McMahon, P.T. Barnum. I read up on all these people who did really well. They have these little tricks, and nothing really happens by accident. You do something. Kim Kardashian, we're all familiar with Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian worked for Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton got a lot of attention through a sex tape. So what did Kim Kardashian do? Shit, I got to do a sex tape. And that's how it all started. She worked for Paris. Paris started it. Whether it was by accident, it was on purpose. I think it was on purpose. But Kim saw that, used it to her advantage. Everything is done on purpose.
The next person that I know that you work with right in that time frame, just to really back a little bit, was Anthony Lawley. He did a book for free.
Yeah, Anthony Lawley.
Why? Why the free book?
Where's that at? I think I even have it around here. Anthony Lawley is a good dude. He's from New York. I think Brooklyn, New York. Anthony Lawley owns he owned Rapid Realty. One of the guys that I really look up to, a multimillionaire, did really well. And so he reached out to me on Instagram. I didn't reach out to him. He reached out to me. He said, listen, I see you can do the bestseller strategy. How do you do so? I'm like, listen, man, I'll teach you. I'll do it for you. Let's do everything. I won't even charge you. I'll just do it all for you. This is in one of my books. Whenever you find someone of severe value, someone who's so crazy that in the marketplace that if you just mention that person's name, you're going to go further. So listen, whatever it takes, I'm going to work with you. So Anthony Lawley, I said, I'll do it for you. Now, he had a publisher. He used Dimension Publishing. Anybody knows Dimension Publishing? That's a pretty big publisher. They didn't even know how to turn it into an Amazon bestseller. He says, I have no access to my KDP, my Amazon, nothing. Can you do all this? I get on a call with Dimension Publishing. A lot of lackeys are working there because they're not entrepreneurs. These are just people who work in an office. They know how to move things around. That's it. They do books. They're not marketers. So what I did was I jumped on the call. I said, you need to do this, 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 and this. Let me know when you do it, and then we will take the next steps from there. What we did, we turned him into an Amazon bestseller. I was actually working at a coffee shop at that time. I was struggling, man. I was really, really struggling. And he called me up. He said, we did it. Thank you so much. And I'm sitting there and I'm wanting to scream at this coffee shop because I was like, this is a game changer. What happened next? He sent me 4 or 5 clients. Here I am up and running now because I worked with him. Guess what he did? He invited me out to New York. Never been to New York. So I was like, I'm coming. Drove to New York and built this relationship. And I still am connected with him on Instagram and Facebook to this day. So Anthony Lawley, if you're out there, you're the man, dude.
And that's, again, it's one of those typical stories where someone might look at it and say, I did this for, why would you do it for free? But the payback, the dividend is, you can't ever describe what it's at.
Right. So there are assholes out there who will say, don't do anything for free. When you are starting from zero, when you have no money, no connections, you got to do 2 things. You need to expand your network and you need to prove yourself. And so you got to do those 2 things. Some of it's given away for free.
So, okay, we've got some background. We know, like, how you kind of got from, fired your boss and now you're a publisher.
Yeah. So
a couple things. At what point did you go from it's just Mike Fallat to now you're hiring a staff of 5 writers? When did this happen? And you switched your focus. Now you're not writing, but you're selling, marketing, and doing interviews. When did that happen?
Yeah, good question. The way it began was I was doing all the writing, I was doing all the marketing, I was doing the cover designs. You can only be so great at all those, So your writing will start to suffer if you're focusing on other things. So I think the time that it really changed was, I believe, 2016, midway through it. I reached out on Upwork and I contacted 4 or 5 writers and I said, listen, one of you is going to get a full-time job of book writing. So I had them submit, I believe, a sample of their work. One guy really stood out. His name was Josiah Rosenberg. I don't know if you're out there still, but you were my first writer. Oh, no, let's take it one step back. Whoa. My God, I almost forgot. The girl I dated was my first writer.
I remember.
Sorry, Vince. Oh my God, how could I forget about her? Taylor was my first writer. So I was dating a girl at the time. She was my first editor.
Yes.
And then she became my first writer. And I really wanted to build this thing with her. I really did. So sort of like testing her. But you can't really, the last thing you want to do is have someone say, hey, let's build this company together when we're just kind of like starting out dating and getting to know each other. So it was my fault by putting a lot of pressure on her. But she became the first writer. And she did a couple different books, did a great job on them, was phenomenal. And then she just basically said, I don't want to do this anymore. And so that was both the book writing and the whole relationship thing.
Yeah, that happens.
That's what happened. So it ended that way. But now you look at this as like a bad thing in the past, but it became truly like the greatest thing, because that's when I reached out to people on Upwork, and I found a guy named Josiah, like I talked about. Josiah was an incredible writer, and he started writing books every week and a half, 2 weeks. And all of a sudden now I had a person I could lean on, someone I could trust. And I just went out there and sold, marketed, interviewed, and I would guide all of that content to him. He would do all that. And then all of a sudden he gets picked up by a man named Sam Ovens. Sam Ovens, have you ever heard of this guy?
I haven't, but
A couple years ago, very, very big name. I don't know where he's at nowadays. I haven't seen his name quite a bit, but Sam Ovens picked him up as a major writer. Now, this guy would pay him probably 3 times the amount of money that I could. So obviously it makes sense. And he had a movie, he had a family. Got it. So then you think that is a bad thing? I was hurt at first, but it became the next best thing. Now I reached out to 3 or 4 different female writers. All of a sudden, now I found these women writers who were incredible what they did. Lisa, Sarah, Jackie, Phyllis, all these individuals now became my writers because I started to take on more work. So I looked at it as a good thing, and I started pushing more work to all them. Now I had a writer for every week of the month, no problem. So that was able to get me out and sell and market more. And so every time something bad happened, it became the next best idea. So I hired a bunch of other writers. And I believe that was a year and a half ago is whenever I started hiring these individuals. And then I knew I needed an assistant. So right around 2017, I hired 4 major writers and then an assistant named Ashley, who really does keep this all in line with blogs and podcast posts, and she kind of does all the stuff, the formatting for the books.
Okay, that was actually part of my next question. The full-time assistant, wanted to find out what that person does, and then you have a full-time videographer now.
Yeah.
And which is part and parcel to this. The full-time videographer came into play when I saw you really start to go after the media advertising with what I remember your Back to the Future video.
Ooh.
What was the impetus behind this? Because it seems to be what really created a lot of your taglines. What was the idea behind the Back to the Future video?
Yeah, so Back to the Future video, I started to get some money. So whenever you have a little extra money, and I'm talking like thousands, but you have an extra $1,000 sitting around, you're like, well, what do I do with this? I could reinvest into higher quality video, and I could start to give a better image to our brand. And so do I want to start to just do bullshit videos on Fiverr advertising books? No, I want to put a video out there that I would watch. I would put a video out there that is entertaining, exciting, and shows a different side of book creation, storytelling, if you will. So I hired a full-time videographer. He wasn't full-time at that time, but his name is Sean. I met him through my assistant, Ashley, and he worked at Walmart. So for a while, I called him Walmart Sean. He hated it with a passion, but eventually I came up with a new name, Sean Claude Van Damme. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of him. And so Sean Claude started doing videos for me. Now, anybody out there looking to hire a videographer, it's not as if you can hire a videographer and he's going to capture your vision right away. It takes a little bit of time. So you have to work with them real small doses. This is what I'm looking for. And then he starts to get the idea and says, hey, I can do this for you. So whenever I reached out to him, I said, listen, I'm going to put this video together. It involves my greatest movie, Back to the Future. I'm going to rent a DeLorean and I'm going to get a Marilyn Monroe. And he said, yeah, I can make that work. I'll get some cool effects with this. So I found Erica, who's an incredible model in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And she was able to do the Marilyn Monroe and bring my vision to life. We got it in the DeLorean, a bucket list item. And that's another thing is when you create these cool videos and you work with these amazing people, they take your ideas and bring it to life even at a higher level than you expected. But now you have all this cool stuff that you've done that nobody else has done. I always say chase your heroes because you get to do things that other people want to do, but can never do it.
And if this is the first time that whenever that video came out, that I remember two things happened. The started from zero seminars and the zero to hero seminars and the started from zero tagline. They were kind of connected to that. So I don't remember that happening before then. Was that the beginning of that sort of idea? Because that's really where you're at now.
Yeah, so started from zero was the tagline that changed my business. Really was. People said, hey, what did you do? Who are you? Well, my name's Mike Fallat, and I own a book company. We've done X amount of books, and I started from zero. But the whole thing was to differentiate me from all the other individuals out there. People who were born into wealth, or they were given something, or they won something. I wanted to showcase, where it came from. It's sort of my story in a tagline. And I started saying, started from zero. People fell in love with that phrase. And so I knew that there was something to it. I started wearing it on my shirt. I started introducing myself on video. I started to do a tagline in my Instagram posts. People fell in love with it. And so I trademarked it. I got started from zero. And now, as you can see, we have started from zero apparel. We have the shoes. We got all kinds of zero to hero stuff. Now, zero to hero all comes down to, yes, that's who I was. I started from zero, and that's who I am. But that's not a big enough brand because you want to showcase where you're going, too. So it's not just about you. It's about helping others. Everyone wants to become the hero of their own story. And so with perfect ability to rhyme, the ability to market, everyone kind of says that, I want to go from zero to hero. I thought to myself, how can I help them all become the hero of their own story? Well, we write books for them. We help them start businesses. Maybe we can help them get their mind right, their fitness right. And it became this whole all-encompassing vision. So it wasn't just business. It wasn't just books. It was something else, which makes it a lot more exciting because we were giving belts away to individuals.
Right.
Become the hero of your own story. You're the winner now.
Right.
It's a symbol of doing it day in and day out. When you write a book, it's a one-time thing, but if you use it properly, it's all the time.
Okay. And those are actually some of the things that you've you mentioned that I think I wanted to touch on. You're actually a little bit ahead of me, but some of the things that you said were it was important for you to make people the hero of their own story.
Mm-hmm.
You also said that in order for people to be the hero of their own story, you have to be their hero first. How does that come into play?
Say that one more time.
You said you want to help people with everything you do.
Yep.
And so that they can become the hero of their own story. But in order to do that, you have to be their hero first.
Exactly. Good point.
So you said that at one point. I wanted you to expound upon that a little bit.
Yeah. So nobody will listen to what you say unless you do it first. People will lie to you all the time and say that that's not the case. I mean, as long as you say it with conviction, people will believe you. Me, I'm the type of guy that only follows people who've done what I want to do. So me, I look at all the qualities that my heroes encompass. They're outspoken, they're leaders, they're successful, they are confident, they go places that other people wish they could go, they live a dream life, all these things that I need to kind of cross off for me first. This gives me the ability to say, listen, I'm chasing my heroes. I'm able to do this, and this. I feel like I'm doing that, and that's why I recommend you do the same thing. Anybody can do it. If I start from zero and I'm able to do all this cool stuff and work with all these individuals that are my heroes, and then you can do it too. So you have to be a great speaker if you're going to tell people how to be a great speaker. You have to have a great business if you're going to tell people how to have a great business. You have to be a great writer if you're going to say you got to write well. You have to become everything that they want for them to really give you their attention. Grant Cardone, Patrick Bet David, all these people that I look up to have what I want. And the same thing is for your audience. If you don't have or portray what they want, nobody's going to care. So when I started getting flashier, when I started to put myself out there a little bit more, when I started getting a little bit more outspoken, people say, damn, you don't give a shit what anyone thinks of you. I love that. And so that's whenever I started to get a little bit more credibility.
But it doesn't come from a place of being condescending. It comes from a place of you want to be encouraging at the same time. Like you're presenting something that you do this, but you're reaching out to your heroes, and you try to become heroes for people who also want to do this on their own.
Yes.
You're not like looking down on people but you're just more of trying to encourage them.
Right. People always talk about inspiring individuals. Well, guess what? If you want to inspire other individuals, you don't go out there and just start talking about how your life should be better and do this and do that. It's just watch me. I'll be the example. I'm able to do this, this, and this. This should inspire you. If you are not doing something that inspires you yourself, how are you going to inspire others? So I see these keyboard heroes sitting behind and, oh man, yeah, maybe you're a show off or maybe you're doing this, but they're not inspiring anybody. And I hear every day from people, you've inspired me to write a book. You've inspired me to fire my boss. You inspired me to get in better shape. And guess what? That doesn't happen from me writing on a keyboard and just putting it out there. I show it in pictures or videos and actual accomplishments. And if I get more and more of that because I'm putting stuff out there, then that's my reward. Oh my God, I'm affecting other people's lives in a good way. I don't give a shit what 100 people's telling me it's bad, but I affected this one person's life. So that's what gives me a little bit more fuel to keep doing it. I know that before and after shots of fitness do something for someone else. I see that people send them to me. I know by putting a book out there every week is inspiring someone to write a chapter. And so the more you put out there, there's going to be 100 people saying, oh my God, it's a show off, or they're really loud, or they think really highly of themselves. Well, if one person is going to be affected, I guarantee that's more than the other person who's not doing anything.
Nice. Things I don't want to miss because, we're a little bit at the front of your story is at some point you moved ahead and you noticed that the business was thriving. You started charging now $3,000 a book.
Oh yeah.
Now that was a step, but what made you decide you can now do this? Like you had models, you did photo shoots. Now you're saying I'm going to charge $3,000 a book.
Yeah, good question. 3 years ago, we started to do okay. We started getting books for one a month, maybe somewhere like that. And I knew I needed to have a little bit more sex appeal involved with book creation because what I started to do was do two things. I started to give red hot pumps, Steve Madden pumps to our female clients.
Right.
I wanted to symbolize what a book is. It's the most attractive part about you.
Again, that was, yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to symbolize that. How do I do so? Well, what's hotter than a pair of red pumps? There's a couple things, but you can't put them on camera. So Steve Madden pumps were the symbol. When women wear pumps, they feel more attractive. Guys are obviously drawn to it. So I wanted to symbolize that as that is the most attractive part about you, the book, AKA your story. All right. So I started giving female clients the pumps. All of a sudden, people were like, whoa, I want the pumps. I'll do a book with you. And that got me some clients. Then I started doing, hey, you know what? Let's go. There was another one down the line, but that's whenever it gave me the idea. Let me hire some models. I reached out to a girl named Kaylee and Erica. Kaylee from Pittsburgh, Kaylee Wilson, and Erica, they're two great models in Pittsburgh. Hey, will you come to Coffee Buddha and a movie theater? Let's do a little film advertising the book creation process, or maybe librarians and something really sexy. They're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we go and do this shoot, and this is another thing that changed my business. Who is this guy wearing a suit with two librarians? What is he offering? I started to draw curiosity with these models. I gave this image a little bit of an uplift. And with the models, obviously, people started paying attention to me. And they're like, wow, that's pretty interesting and creative and attractive. Maybe I should get my book done through him because he's not boring and stale. And that sort of got me to the models, the stilettos, and then eventually the tattoo, which I don't know if you're going to have in here.
I'm not familiar with it, but it's going to be in here. But
Yeah.
again, when I saw this, were there people that were just sort of scratching their head, like, what in the heck does this have to do with books?
Yes.
Okay.
People were getting upset that I was objectifying women. This is
Okay.
a lot of people coming at me saying I was objectifying women. I mean, I like looking at women. Models love getting attention. Women, it was my entire organization now. So how are you going to stand out? I mean, look at Barstool Sports. You familiar with Barstool Sports?
I've seen it, yes.
The way they grew into this sports, they didn't talk about sports in the beginning. They were doing all kinds of, fun, sexy dances and all kinds of stuff that kind of maybe draw in attention, maybe negative and positive, but that's what got people to look at it. So if you really want to dissect human psychology of what's attractive and what's not, you could do that. I'm just trying to give people what people like to look at. And once they look at something, then I can teach them and educate them. Otherwise, nobody's going to look. Nobody's going to give you any attention. And all of a sudden, you're not going to help them. Your business is going to fail. They're not going to get a book. And you lose. They lose also. So, yes, people came at me. But the models are like, hey, let's just keep doing this. I love this. That's their job. They love getting paid to be models. I wasn't hurting anybody. That's how it goes.
So, if I recall, you told me one time you feel the quote pivot for your company was the hero of your own story mentality.
Yeah.
When did that happen, and how does that continue to be part of your message?
Yeah, so I think it happened about maybe a year ago is when I started to think, oh my God, zero to hero is the direction of this company. A book is only so profitable for you unless you look at it as more of like a gateway towards a different life. So I'm thinking to myself, if I can kind of brand this company and what we do from here on out, whether it's regarding the books or business development, if I could get them in the mindset of everything I do is bigger than me. It's about becoming the person who makes money for my family or saves my marriage or gets in a better shape so I can be an example for my kids. You start to live a more interesting life, a better life, a more, I guess you could say, healthy life. Eventually it becomes another book and another book and another book. And whether you write it down or not, it's part of your story. So at the very end of all this, you have something to share with another person. And if you're not the hero of your own story, who is? Are you the villain of your own story? You could be. There are people who destroy it all. And there's people out there who they wake up and they hate themselves. And so they hate on others.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah, they become the victim. And we did a book for a guy named Nick Santanastasso. He talks about victim or the victor. And so it's the same thing. Are you the hero or the villain? You could be the one self-sabotaging your life. You could be the one sabotaging your kid's life. You could be the one that's hurting your business. But what if you say, I'm responsible. I hold the pen. I'm going to write it. I'm going to fix it. If you get that mindset going, now we become bigger than just books.
Right on. So a couple things. I know that you did one thing. You had this idea for the Zero to Hero seminars, and you were going to do topics like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Evel Knievel. It didn't get off the ground, but it did sort of launch this mentality of entertainment, wrestling, and then all of a sudden you've got the belts, and you've got this sort of larger than life, and the shoes. So can you give us an example, or can you show us how that example of your like this never-ending desire to move ahead, that failure became a success for you?
Yeah. So the events, you mean?
Yes. The seminar didn't get off the ground.
Seminar did not get off the ground.
But it was it wasn't a failure. You used it as a launch pad.
It became the documentary. So one failure led to another success somewhere else. I went to 10X GrowthCon down in Florida for Grant Cardone's 10X GrowthCon. We filmed a bunch of content, including some of the stuff that was featured in the documentary. And this documentary we put up on Amazon Prime. It's available, Zero to Hero with Mike Fallat. So the seminar was sort of the idea, but wow, we could take all this content and create now a documentary. So the documentary became, now guess what, an asset. I can talk about this video. I can showcase it. Guess what other people want to do? They want to have documentaries. They want stuff on Amazon Prime. They want eventually on Netflix. One of my clients, Papa, yeah, so I'm going to tag him down below too. But he is getting an interview with Netflix because of his book. So goes back to this documentary is something that I wanted to create. I want to help people understand what makes people heroes, what makes people successful. And I started to reverse engineer and say, hey, it doesn't take much. You just got to apply these lessons. So the documentary became a success because of the seminar failure. And I think that this is a consistent theme. Every failure becomes a success somewhere else. You learn something or you gain a tool, strategy, piece of information that you can apply to the next idea. And so it goes back to what makes me different than the people in school that I went with or people I grew up with or anybody else that is way, way, way smarter than me. It's just that I'm never satisfied where I'm at. You could always do one level higher. And every failure is just another way to learn something that you can apply to the next step in your journey. So you just can't ever be satisfied.
Nice. That's a great message. Okay. The last thing that I want to say is there are certain things that I know you're doing right now. You got the jacket. You got the wrestling belt. You're doing podcasts. What's next? Well, you're never satisfied. What's next? What's on the horizon?
Oh,
Let's
my
talk
God.
about a tattoo. What else you got going?
Oh, yeah. So the tattoo was, go back to that before I forget this. Another thing that got me off the ground was I was offering a discount for anybody who got the started from zero tattoo.
Okay.
So I believe 6 or 7 people got the tattoo started from zero, and I gave them a discount of half off. So it was $5,000 a book. I gave it to them for $2,500. And now just to let you guys know, I'm at $10,000 a book, and we're booked up into January right now. So 10 grand. We started this at $2,500. I think I even did a book for $2,200. I was so desperate. 22 to 25 to 5,000 to 7,500 to $10,000 a book. So the tattoo was sort of just a cool idea that got people to do a book with us. We were just scraping by, and now it's time to really capitalize on it. Work with some big names. Now, when you raise a price, you don't stay the same. Now you have to raise your value, quality of writing, production, all this stuff. And that's what makes it exciting, is that you keep getting better. Even when the price goes up, you have to level up. So what is next? There's a lot of things that's working in our favor. We are working with a man named Mark Evans, and Magician vs. Mule. It's around here. He's giving us some advice on what to do next. This upcoming year, we have ideas. We want to break 1 million. So with his consulting, with his strategy, the goal is to break 1 million. We want to do a 7-figure number by the end of 2020. So when you become a $1 million business, now you can become the blue-collar millionaire. And now all of a sudden we can take that in the direction. So the goal focused is 2 things. Grow this business to 1 million next year. And number 2, you see the fire your boss. Okay? So people have come to me for a year, 2 years. I did not have a vehicle to take them to. I say, write a book. Well, I have no money, no connections. Well, then you can't write a book. We're $10,000. But you need to start a business. Well, what do? Now I have a vehicle for them. And if you have no money and no connections, what did I tell you need to do? Expand your network. And so we have a way for them to make money right away through network marketing. And I direct them towards a company that I really trust with a lot of people that I really believe in. And that's what we do. So we're going to grow individuals to start their own business. And we're going to grow the book company into $1 million business next year.
And the book company is still Dreamstarters University, or is it changing to your?
Oh, 1 year ago we changed it to Dreamstarters Publishing.
Dreamstarters Publishing.
Dreamstarterspublishing.com.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, it's amazing. Will you ever be satisfied?
No, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess you could say. I wish I was satisfied with just living, sleeping on a couch and doing nothing and living off of $5 a day. There's a part of me that says that would probably be a decent lifestyle because you don't got to do anything. But there's a saying out there, like the worst day if you did that would be whenever you died and met the person you could have been. And so my whole thing is, listen, I know who I am. I'm born to work hard. I'm born to just push through all the bullshit. Maybe I'm born to change my whole family financially, but I know I'm born to work hard. I can always outwork someone. Always. Doesn't matter. Maybe I can't outsmart them. I can't maybe out-resource them, but I can outwork them. So if I know that's my DNA, that's what keeps me satisfied. I'm living to my purpose. And so will I ever be satisfied? Probably not. And that makes me feel really bad for my future wife. So,
Mike Fallat, you are the bad boy of books, and you're the man who says I wrote a book before I could read.
That's right.
It's been my pleasure.
Hey, this is Curt Miller. You're going to be seeing a lot of this guy, journalist, business consultant. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, guys. If you're looking to become the hero of your own story, contact us. We help people write books in 30 days or less. And you know what? If you keep chasing that hero of yours, you might just catch them. God bless America. That's a wrap. Let's see if we can turn this off now. Thanks, guys. Click this.